Hi everyone, welcome back to Winging It. We're in week 36 and this week we're going to revisit a technique that we used much earlier in the year around Easter time. If you're new here, I will link a playlist at the top of the screen and you can go back and watch any videos that you're interested in from this series. We're making a quilt on a garden theme and we make roughly one block a week. If a quilt's not your thing, then you can use any of our designs as a standalone piece of textile art, so there's something here for everyone. I'm starting off with my backing fabric, and this week I'm using my dark green and it's a 20 by 20 centimetre square piece. I've also got a range of scrap fabrics, and these are all offcuts from previous blocks that we've done, so I've raided my scraps. I've got some white, some pink, some yellow and some red offcuts, and I've got a small piece of my green grass fabric that is going to be helpful for making some leaves. I've got some threads as well, so these are all Anchor brand. I've got my red, which is 046, my yellow, which is 298, my white, which is 001, pink, which is 025, and then I've got my mid green, which is 258, and my lighter green, which is 255. I've got a white heat erase pen, and I do have another heat erase pen just off camera, and I've got my embroidery scissors, and also off camera I've got some needles, pins and a little bit of bonder web that will come in useful later. I've also got my circle template this week. Now I got these just off Amazon, they're really inexpensive. I'll try and link one at the bottom in the description, but if you don't have this or don't want to invest in one, you can just draw around circular things. So I'm going to start with my heat erase pen. I've just marked in a 1 centimetre border all the way around just to keep my design contained, and I'm just going to put in some circles as guidelines, and I'm trying to get a variety of sizes. So here's what I've sketched out so far. It's quite rough, just a guide, and what we're going to do this week is create some Suffolk puffs. So let's start with some yellow, and the general rule with a Suffolk puff is that whatever size circle you want to cover, so let's start with this one here, this is roughly 5 centimetres in diameter, and that means that I'm going to need to cut a circle that is 10 centimetres in diameter, because when we do the Suffolk puff process, our circle reduces roughly by half. Now my circle template doesn't go up to 10 centimetres, so I've got this jam jar lid and that will do just fine for now. So I'm just going to draw around that with my heat erase pen, and then I'm going to cut that circle out, and you don't have to be precise with this. So you can actually just eyeball it. You can make circles by just folding a piece of fabric and cutting an arc. You really don't need to be fussy because it will become circular even if your original circle isn't quite circular. So I'm just cutting around the edge of that, doing my old turn the fabric, not the scissors trick, just to partly to make it more comfortable, but also to get a more circular finish. And I'm going to make 2 more circles that get smaller each time. So I'm just cutting those out. So this is what a Suffolk puff looks like when it's done, and you can use the flat side if you want to, but we are going to use a side that's got the gathered section on it. So to make these, I'm just going to make a raw edge Suffolk puff. You can turn over a little seam around the edge, but we're going to use a raw edge version. So I've got a single strand of my yellow thread, and I'm just running stitching around the outside edge of the circle, and you can see I'm just sort of rocking the fabric back and forwards there to load it onto the needle, and then I pull through. So then I do the same again, so just in and out of the fabric, and actually I'm not really moving the needle, I'm just wobbling the fabric backwards and forwards to catch it onto the end of the needle. When I can't get any more fabric onto the needle, I just pull it through, and I just carry on like that all the way around. And again, you don't have to be too fussy, you don't have to be a certain distance apart or anything like that, just a simple running stitch. When you get back to the beginning, you just pull on that thread and allow it to gather in the fabric, and it creates something that's a little bit like a shower cap and it will pull quite tight in the centre, particularly if you've got a raw edge one like we're doing. You'll find that the hole closes up really quite tightly as long as your fabric isn't too thick. So once I've gathered it as fully as I can, I'm just going to secure it with a knot and trim off my thread, and that is our Suffolk Puff. Just smooth it down and flatten it out. Make sure your fabric is all pulled out and isn't puckering, and I'm just going to repeat that process with the other two circles that I've cut. So if you want to, you can use yours flat side up, but what I'd like is to create a lot of texture on these because we're going to make something like a rose garden. So I'm going to just sit my Suffolk Puff over the circle, and I'm just going to grab a pin to hold it in place just to make sure it doesn't move while I'm stitching it. And we're going to attach this to the background with a really simple applique stitch. So again, I've got a single strand of yellow, I've knotted the end, and I'm going to bring my needle up through both the backing fabric and the edge of the Suffolk Puff, and hopefully you can see there my needle is really close to the outside edge. I'm only catching a couple of threads. Then I'm going to tuck my needle up against the edge of the Suffolk Puff and take it back down just through the backing fabric, move along a bit and come up through both layers, and then go down just through the backing fabric. Once you've got started, you can actually use a rocking motion to just catch a bit of the fabric in and make your stitches to secure it in place. We are going to overstitch this, so these aren't the only stitches that are going to be holding this Suffolk Puff down, so you don't have to be too fussy. They don't have to be really close together or anything like that. As long as it's secure and isn't immediately going anywhere, you'll be fine. So I'm just turning my work and working my way around the edge of that Suffolk Puff, and you can see me there with my thumb just flattening out the fabric and making sure it's fully covering the circle. It's not the end of the world if there are gaps because this is heat arrays, but I want my Suffolk Puff as big as I can make it. That's that one in place. I've got a second Suffolk Puff here, and I'm just going to offset it. So you can put them all central if you want to, but I'm just going to put this just off to one side so that it's going to look like the flower head is dipping a little bit. And I'm going to go around again with a applique stitch. I am trying really hard to go right through to the back, so rather than catching one Suffolk Puff to another, I'm trying to go right through to the back of the fabric. So I've got my fingers on the back there, just feeling for the needle coming through, making sure that I'm securing things to the background, not just to each other. When I'm all the way around, I'm going to put my smallest circle on the top, and I did a pattern fabric for this one. I'm not sure what I thought about it in the end. I'm now going to overstitch. So I've got 2 strands of pink, and some of these I'm going to do as just offset circles, but this one I'm going to do as a spiral. So I've got my heat erase pen and I'm just really roughly sketching in a spiral line that I can use as a guide, and I'm trying to make sure this line goes over all of the different Suffolk puffs. So I'm now on the medium one and just coming into the centre to get that smallest Suffolk puff. I'm not going to lie, these are quite tricky to stitch through. There are a lot of layers of fabric here, and it didn't help that it was baking hot on the day that I did this, which means that the needle doesn't pass through the fabric very well. But I've just got 2 strands of pink here, and I'm going to backstitch this one. So I'm bringing my needle up just ahead of the end of the line and then working back to the end of the line, and then I rock my needle forward beyond that first stitch to leave a gap, and then bring my needle back down at the point that the first stitch ended. Then I rock forward leaving a gap and come back to the previous stitch, rock forward and come back. Now I'm doing really simple stitching on this one. You can use whatever stitch you like, so if you prefer to use a chain stitch or a feather stitch or a fly stitch, it's entirely up to you. Just make it your own. So here's my first rose. I've got my pink spiral, and I've also gone around again with some yellow thread, and that's basically it for this stage. So I'm just going to repeat this process with all of these circles, making Suffolk puffs, layering them up and then over stitching, and then we'll come back and look at the next stage. So here are all my Suffolk puffs in place, and I've done my over stitching. You can see I've done some running stitch on some of them as well, and I've brought in some Bondaweb because I thought this would be the simplest way to add some leaves. So I'm just going to freehand draw 2 arced lines that join together at the top and bottom to make it a rough leaf shape, and I'm just sketching out a bunch of those that we are going to stick onto our green fabric and then onto the background. So I'm trying to get lots of different sizes. Some are smaller, some are rounder, some are more elongated, and I know these don't look much like rose leaves, but we are just stylising this, so I'm not going to worry too much. So I've got the back of my green fabric, and I'm just going to cut out a few leaves at a time. I've got a little bit of a problem here because the glue has come separate from the paper of the Bondaweb, so I'm just trying to make sure they're lined up. I'm going to lay that glue side down on the back of the fabric and press it in place with my iron. So you just hold it in place for about 10 seconds. When it's cooled down and the glue has fused to the fabric, I'm going to now cut these out more precisely to get the actual shape. I've got my paper scissors here because I'm cutting through the paper of the Bondaweb, and then I'm going to peel off that paper. If you can't get it off, just put a little tear. The paper will pop before the fabric does, and it will give you something to grip onto. So the paper comes off, and then I'm going to lay glue side down where I want it on my panel. So I'm just going to tuck that leaf in between those roses there, and then I press it again for about 10 seconds, and that's my leaf in place. So I'm just going to repeat that again with some of the other leaves and just scatter them around. There's no plan for this. I'm winging it, just like we say. I'm making this up as I'm going along, so I'm just seeing where I think there needs to be a bit of a different colour or just something added to fill a gap. So just cutting out those leaves and pressing them in place. And as if by magic in a moment, lots of them will appear. There we go. So I'm filling in some of the gaps in between the roses, and this is what I've come up with. And just to secure those and add a little bit of stitch detail, I'm going to add some fly stitch. So I'm just making a little vertical at the very tip of the leaf. Let's just move that ironing pad out of the way. And then I'm going to come up on the left hand side of the leaf, down on the right hand side of the leaf, and bring my needle up in the middle at the bottom of that first straight stitch and pull through, making sure the loop goes under the needle. Then I do a little straight stitch down and bring my needle back up on the left hand side, go down opposite it on the right hand side of the leaf, and rock my needle forwards, come up in the centre at the bottom of that straight stitch. Now if any of these stitches look too confusing or unclear, I do have a stitch guide playlist which I'll link in a card at the top of the screen. So there are tutorials for all the stitches that we use in winging it, and you'll be able to find that just by clicking. I wasn't stitching this long before I realised that I really should have started with a longer piece of thread. I was just trying to use up something that was already in the needle, but made my life really difficult for no good reason whatsoever. I do want these stitches to be functional as well as decorative, so it's really important as you're adding stitch to your leaf shapes that you aren't making your fly stitches from beyond the leaf. So every time I'm rocking back to start the V part of my fly stitch, I'm making sure the needle comes up through the leaf shape, not just through the backing fabric. And that way, should our bonder web fail, our leaves won't fall off. So I'm going to stitch all of those leaves in, and then we'll come back. And here's our finished piece. I'm actually really happy with this one. We've got our roses made of Suffolk Puffs with our overstitching, and our simple fly stitch leaves that we've bonder webbed on. And this one was a real lesson for me in trusting the process, because right up until those leaves were stitched, I was really not sure I liked it, but those leaves seemed to bring it to life and make it all work. So if you don't like your work, it's probably not finished yet. Just keep going and see if you can decide what it needs. I hope you have enjoyed that. If you have, please do hit that like button. We really appreciate it. It makes such a difference to us. And do share your versions of the Suffolk Puff Roses at hashtag FSH23quilt. If you've enjoyed this, I will link some similar videos over here, and if you want to see more of our content, click on our logo down here. It makes it really easy for you to subscribe, and if you turn on notifications, you'll never miss an upload. Have a fantastic week stitching your Suffolk Puff Roses, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!